All right, everyone, we just have one massive story to talk about today, but it has to do with the current generation of console hardware being sold right now, potentially already having Pro models in the works and slated for release as soon as 2023. And we have to break down where this information has emerged from and also have a conversation where Nintendo fits into this story, if at all, in 2023 and beyond. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we just got one massive story to unpack today, but it has to do with Pro models of the current generation of hardware. Yes, we are talking about the potential for a PS5 Pro and a new model of the Xbox Series line, or maybe just a Series X Pro. Regardless of what they may be called, that's all up for debate and speculation, but the reason this is in the news today is TCL, who is a massive TV manufacturer. You may be familiar with them as they have a wide lineup of lower priced TVs. They don't aim to be the Sony or the LG or the Samsungs of the TV manufacturers out there, but rather target the lower price crowd for entry-level 4K TVs that still look great at a fantastic price, often bundled in with Roku features, so you're getting like a smart TV for next to nothing when you're comparing it to those major other manufacturers that sell at a higher cost. And they held a keynote today where there was a very interesting slide that they discussed around the future roadmap for console generation hardware, as clearly when you are a TV manufacturer, you are in the chip manufacturing business, you obviously have a lot of connections with all of the different chip manufacturers out there, and you probably have some kind of contact or at least a general vague roadmap of when the plans are for something like 8K resolution to hit gaming or just higher frame rates, and you want your TVs to sell and be competitive in that market. So this is worth paying attention to, at least in my humble opinion. And we also have to talk about history with how the Pro models of these consoles were released before, and even discuss how Nintendo plays into all of this with the future of gaming, because it's a very interesting talking point. But to kick off this conversation, I do want to quickly hop over to VGC where they have the detailed article. So to get on the same page with what's been said here, let's quickly hop over there and read through that together. Electronics firm says it expects PS5 Pro and new Xbox Series consoles by 2024. Chinese company TCL mentioned the unannounced systems in a presentation on Wednesday. Chinese electronics company TCL has said it expects PlayStation 5 Pro and new Xbox Series X/X consoles to launch in 2023 or 2024. The company, which reportedly ranked second in the global TV market in terms of sales volume in 2019, revealed its forecast for the console industry on Wednesday during a presentation attended by Polish site ppe.pl. During the press event, which was used to showcase TCL's latest TVs, a company representative said they expect Gen 9.5 to arrive by 2024. The manufacturer suggested the unannounced consoles will provide gameplay in 60 to 120 frames per second at a resolution of 2160p and offer ability to play in 8K. It also said it expects PS5 Pro and the new Xbox Series X/X consoles to come with an equivalent to the upcoming AMD Radeon RX 7700 XT GPU. Given the platform holders' current inability to meet demand for PS5 and Xbox Series X due to the global chip shortage, TCL's forecast for a mid-gen hardware refresh so soon might appear optimistic, unless perhaps redesigned consoles offer a manufacturing advantage. So listen, you can clearly just read this story and say, well, this is your average presentation that you would see from large tech manufacturers, essentially stating the roadmap for future console gaming generations when they have no real inside information or reason to expect it to actually release in that timeline. And while that is a realistic possibility, you do also have to look at the manufacturing side of things, where maybe it does make more sense for Sony and Microsoft, even this early into the PS5 and Xbox Series X's life cycles, to actually grab a brand new, more powerful GPU, throw that into production as well in something like late 2023 or early 2024, and then you have two different GPUs that you are sourcing, which is also the timeline that hopefully we are starting to see the end of the ongoing chip shortage situation. And it might be more strategic for them to source both a Pro model of their current consoles as well as the previous models, knock them down in price just slightly, and sell them as two separate SKUs alongside of each other, as 2023 seems very quick for this to happen. And you do have to have the conversation about the ongoing chip shortage and how hard it's been to find these consoles in store. However, if you actually do look at history, there's a very interesting stat you can uncover from this, which is that the Xbox One and PS4 originally launched in November 2013. Fast forward just 3 years later, February 2016, Xbox One X is on the market, which is the Pro version of that console. Then fast forward to November of 2016 for Sony, and they released the PlayStation 4 Pro. That that is only 3 years after. Now, clearly we are in a different environment with how hard these consoles have been to find this time around, but it is actually the timeline that they have stuck to for releasing more powerful hardware before. So I find that very interesting. If you just look back one generation, they are known for doing more powerful iterations of their consoles as they come out, as I think we are kind of approaching a time in gaming where the games are essentially scalable and workable cross generation. We're seeing most of the PS5 games released right now also have a PS4 version, and they're still runnable. They're just not going to look as great and play as at a consistent frame rate and at something like a 4K resolution. Like, you're definitely going to have to downscale the games, but the games are still playable, and this would be looked at as a premium offering alongside of the current console for gamers that really want everything like up to that 120 frames per second, especially people into the first person shooting community. I do not dabble into that so much myself, but those extra frames per second really can make a difference in competitive play, and that's why you see a lot of serious gamers get into the PC side of things, because they can upgrade the GPUs to the new emerging best tech that's on the market all the time, year in and year out, and achieve those higher frame rates. And that could be what we're talking about with this potential console refresh around the corner. Now, in terms of where Nintendo fits in on all of this, well, of course, they're not featured on the slide from TCL in terms of the console generation performance, not really acknowledged at all, because when is the last time Nintendo has been competitive in terms of top graphics and frame rate performance? Well, you really have to go back 20 plus years to the GameCube in terms of when they actually competed on power against the other guys. So I wouldn't expect them to be mentioned or brought up at all at an event like this, but you do have to have that quick conversation about what Nintendo is planning with something like a more powerful Switch revision. And in the year of 2023, are we really already talking about PS5 Pro and Xbox Series X Pro, and Nintendo still doesn't have a system that is capable of, while being docked, at least having upscalable 4K resolutions, when these next consoles are already targeting the 8K or just super high frame rate performance of the current generation? Like, I think it makes sense that no later than 2023 we see something more powerful from Nintendo. Yes, that could slide into 2024, and maybe it's just that clean next generation hardware break, but we are in this era of console gaming where we see more frequent revisions, especially if Nintendo treats this like their Nintendo DS line of consoles, where because it is a handheld, it gets minor, more powerful revisions as time goes on every other year or so. So far, that's actually what we've really seen in terms of Switch, not on the performance level, but rather on the model level. If you look at March of 2017 is when the original Switch launches, then we get the Switch Lite in 2019, then we get the Switch OLED model in 2021, then in 2023, is there something that's more powerful? I think you could argue that yes, it is a likely scenario, or it could be just like a Switch Lite OLED, at which point I would be very disappointed, but I do think that will be a cool system to see as well. But I am hopeful that Nintendo does step it up just a little bit, utilize that partnership with Nvidia, bring in the DLSS upscaling technology to something like a more powerful Switch that when docked can upscale to a 4K resolution and can just hold more consistent frame rates with even their current lineup of games that we are starting to see struggle on Nintendo Switch hardware, and get more of those third-party classic iconic games brought over to the console because it's capable of being run on something like more powerful hardware. Now, that's my personal opinion on everything that's unfolded from the story so far. At this point in the video, I want to hear from you guys personally. What do you think about all this new information online? Are you somebody who's still been on the hunt for either a PS5 and a Series X console, and this kind of talk makes you want to wait to upgrade to actually get something like a Pro model? Or are you somebody who just recently maybe got one because, of course, it's been hard to find this entire time, and you really hate to hear stuff like this, because are they really going to turn around and source a Pro model console when still being unable to meet the demands of current consumers that are trying to buy their products? And do you think there really is credence to this TCL roadmap, or this is clearly just all speculation on their part? And bonus question, where, if at all, do you think Nintendo fits into this conversation? What do you think they're planning with their next generation or just more powerful Switch revision in the future? So regardless of your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about today in the video, I do look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments down below, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, where we boot up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe together, have a broad conversation around the history of that game, and a breakdown of when we can expect to see the next booster course pack waves of DLC added into the game. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.